which is the custom org chart display options. Of course, what does display options mean? We'll start with that. So display options are a way for the users of Nakisa HR Suite to show or hide org chart nodes based on specific criteria. So a specific criteria could be just a Boolean yes, no field. For example, you may be interested in an organization where you don't necessarily show assistance. You maybe want to look only at your leadership positions. You don't really want to show assistance in the chart, so you can hide assistance. Maybe you have an organization with 10 vacant positions that you want to hire someone for them in the future, and it's not important for your use case to look at these vacancies. You want to look and you want to focus only on these occupied positions. Then you may want to hide these vacant positions. So in the standard, we have pre-configured the application based on what we defined as best practices based on numerous experiences we have with multiple clients. And we defined vacant positions, assistants, consultants, contractors, temporary contractors as the standard 5 display options that we have. And one thing to also note is that these display options are not available for employee roles. So as an employee logging onto Nakisa HR Suite, you don't have the option to say hide, hide contractors. You may not see them because by default, I may already have them hidden for the employee role, but you will not have the option to toggle back and forth between enabling or disabling some of these options that are available for you. So what are the custom org chart display options? Now, in some cases, you may need to have more display options beyond the 5 that are available or beyond the ones which are enabled in your implementation. For example, we had a client that flags certain positions as hidden. Again, this is their own HR process. They have their own reasons behind it. Employees should not see these types of positions. And HR should have the option to create charts with these positions enabled and also with these positions hidden. So that was a business requirement. And they already have that flag maintained in the ERP. So the idea that they came to us and said, okay, can you have an option to hide or show and toggle between these two options for these types of hidden positions. So that's one requirement. You may be asked to produce a chart which focuses only on the key positions in the organization or the leadership positions or the managerial positions. Maybe you don't want to show individual contributors who don't have any direct reports. So you can use the display options to address these business requirements and business needs. Okay. So these are the 5 display options that are available in the standard pre-configured out of the box. One is called not vacation. This is vacant positions or non-manager vacant positions. I will update the caption later on. But basically, these options are to be able to hide or unhide vacant positions. And depending on the profile, if you have an organizational structure versus a position structure, you may have just slightly different in the caption, the way it's displayed. Temporary contracts are one as well. This is based on a field called contract type. Contractors, consultants, these are based on a field called employee class. Again, sometimes ERPs maintain it at the employee level, sometimes it's maintained at the position level, such as with SuccessFactors Employee Central. And then you have assistants as well. Okay, so these are the 5 standard display options. Now, let's look at a business requirement where we need to have a custom display option. So I'm going to give you this business requirement, which is again based on a real case situation. So business leaders are asking for a chart that only has key positions displayed. So basically, any non-key or non-critical position should be hidden from the org chart. Okay, so how do HR leaders address this in Nakisa HR Suite without using the display options? What you can do is you can create a team design, which allows you to make a copy of your entire data set, and then filter by key position equals no, and then do a mass delete operation. And then you will end up with a chart in a team design scenario which doesn't have any of the non-key positions. The problem with this is not every organization, not every customer has the license for OrgDesign. So if you don't have it, then you cannot do it. The second problem with this is that it's very inefficient and time consuming. So there's a need for a new solution. So what is the new solution? The new solution is to basically say, okay, let's use the custom OrgChart display options to create that Boolean field and map it to one of the available extended Boolean fields, such as at the position level. But the tricky thing here is in the standard, we have key position equals yes or key positions equal no. Now remember, in the display options, we basically are hiding. So if I have it enabled, this means I'm hiding a specific position that satisfies the criteria. So if the assistant flag is true and I select hide assistants, then it will hide all of the assistants. So what we need to do is we need to hide the non-key position. So I need to create a reverse field from the key position to a non-key position. So let's say you create a field, which is the reverse of key position, called non-key or non-critical. If the value of this is true, then I want to hide it. If the value is false, this means it's a key position, so I want to show it. That's the only trick that you need to be aware of. Once you've created the field, it's very easy then to create the custom OrgChart display options. How do you create custom OrgChart display options? Again, you will go to the administrator console. You will go to OrgChart settings, OrgChart display options. Actually, maybe the best thing for me to do is just to show it to you live. So we'll do this together. Again, so this is the OrgChart settings. We'll start from the beginning. I will collapse OrgChart node views, and right below it, you have the OrgChart display options. And here are the 5 standard ones. So vacant positions, temporary contracts, contractors, consultants, and assistants. And then you have the custom ones, which are mapped to our extended data model. So you can see here, we have 3 fields for positions. These are Boolean fields, so yes, no, field number 1, field number 2, field number 3. The reason why you see 2 entries here, because one entry says, I'd like to enable the field, to enable the custom display option. And the second entry is saying, what should be the default status? Should the default status be that we already hide the values when it's true for that field, or unhide it? So right now, if the field is non-key position equals true, and I have this enabled, then all of the non-key positions will be hidden. So I only have a chart with the key positions. This means that an employee logging in will never able to see themselves in the chart if they are not sitting in a key position. So again, that's not ideal. So for now, I will keep the default status as unhidden. Again, you have, depending on your data model, you may need to do this at the position level. You may need to do this at the employee level. Or you may even want to do this at the org unit level if you have an organizational structure, depending on the type of field that you want to hide and the type of object that you want to hide. So for now, we're talking about non-key positions that I want to hide. This is mapped to my yes, no field 1 at the position. You will be able actually to see this here. Let me go back to my custom fields, and I will show you that we've already created a custom field for non-key position that you can access from the custom field management. And this is the field that I have created, which is here, non-critical position or non-key position. This is a yes, no field. So again, the assumption here, and I'm not going to show this as part of the demo, is to create that field, which is the reverse of key position. So non-key position or non-critical position. It's a yes, no field. So once this is enabled in my custom fields, I can now go to my OrgChart settings and enable the custom display option for that field. Now notice what it's telling us to do. It is saying, don't forget to update the label in the caption editor with this key. The reason why, if I don't do that, so if you enable it but without changing the label, then it will only show the position custom yes, no, instead of saying non-key position. So I need to change the label here. So to do the label change, and again, don't worry if you're not following this part. I think what's important for me is to see the result in the front end. Administrators will take care of this for you. The result in the front end is what's very important. So I'm going to show you quickly how to change the captions as well. The captions are all available in the application settings, and you will see general settings, and you can change the caption. Again, I'm following exactly what it's telling me to do when I create a new custom display option. So it's asking me to change the caption of the field, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to wait for this to load. I will find the display option. You can see it here. And you can see the English caption is hide position yes no field. That doesn't make any sense to the end user. So I'm going to change this to hide non-key positions. Okay, so now I've changed the caption. I will close this, and we've enabled the custom, we've enabled the setting. So I think we're done with in terms of the configurations here. Let's go to the front end and show what this looks like. Now, the best thing is for me to reload the page so that I can see this new configuration that I've done show up here. Okay, so the page is reloading. I'm going to load the structure. Actually, it doesn't matter what structure I load. We'll start from the top. Let's have a look at President Bestron EMEA position because they have a lot of direct reports. I can see the span of control is 18 here. Let me root at this organization. And before I show you what the display options are, let me switch to an interesting view for us because this will allow us to see my key positions. And this is again called the talent rating view. So if you look at the talent rating view, it will show you the different positions with the key position indicator, which is the star icon here. I can see as well performance, potential assessment rating, risk of loss information. If you have this maintained, it will show up here. But what's important for us is the key position. So right now I have a chart that shows me all positions, whether they are key or not key. Right? There's a lot of key positions here shown with the star icon. Some of them are non-key positions. So what happens with the display options? So first of all, you don't see it showing up here. This means that the configuration has not taken effect yet. So maybe I need to log out of the application and log back in again, just to make sure that it refreshes and I can get to see this configuration. Okay, so let me go to the admin console once more. Because I have to save. I forgot to save. I think it's very important when you do a setting is to actually save it. So here's position yes, no. I forgot to save. So this is the save changes. I've enabled it, but I did not save it. That's why it didn't show up. Okay, so now it's saved. Let's go quickly back to the front end. And I will do the same thing. I will log out and then log back in or refresh the page. And this will allow me to refresh the configuration so it comes through. And I will navigate to the same exact structure again and show you the difference between enabling or disabling one of these display options. Okay, so let's look at President Bestron EMEA again. And you see here, there's a fifth display option that is showing. So these are the 5 standard ones as I mentioned before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the one which we enabled. And this is actually reading from the custom field, which is Boolean, yes, no, which is non-key position equals true or false. Okay, and all of these positions that are key, if I select any of them, if I quickly switch to 2-panel mode, and doesn't matter which position I select, you will see the custom information displayed in the chart page here. You will see non-critical position is no. So this is a critical position. So if non-critical position equals no, this means it's a key position, and you can see this indicated with the icon. Anything else doesn't have the icon will have non-critical position shown as yes, like this one here. But what I wanted to show you now is, okay, let's go back to 1-panel mode, to the structure, And what happens if I select or enable the option hide non-key positions? So I expect all of these boxes that don't have a star to be hidden from display. So you just select it, you do apply, and now you will have a chart without any of these key positions. Okay, you will see only my key positions here. And of course, because the option is already enabled, if I navigate any of the organizations, I will only end up with my key positions. Okay, and if I want to go back to displaying both, I can unhide the flag, which is for non-key positions. This will then show me all of the positions, whether it's key or non-key, displayed in the chart. Okay. Again, very powerful feature. Now think of this as you can extend that use case to not only key positions. You can say, okay, are these contractors' positions? Are these expats' positions? Display the chart without any contractors, without any consultants. So you can use the display options with multiple different use cases. Okay, they are accessed from this menu here. So, so this is the example I gave, simply following when I enabled hide non-critical positions, I ended up with only the key positions displayed in the chart. Okay, I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions so far related to the display options. Is any of the things I'm showing resonating with you? Do you have business needs for some of these requirements, like custom views or custom display options?
That will definitely come as people get used to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good point, Nick. I think we are in the onboarding project with you. So yeah, once we get you up and running, I think more requirements will come and we will enable it in our tool for sure.
Sherif,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Laura.
So you've hidden some of these non-critical positions. Will that work if you skip a layer or a level, for example, and it goes down? So you've got on this level, you've got a critical position, you've got the next layer where there are no critical positions, and in the third layer, there's a critical position again or a non-critical position. Will it display or will it display everything?
Very good question. So the challenge here is that, so if you're using this display options, you have to be aware that if there are records, so let's say, let's take, for example, let's take President France here. This is a non-key position, but if there are positions below President France that are key, I will not be able to see them because I will filter the President France position out. So it's very important if you use these options for you to know that you may end up with losing some data. So most of the clients we talk to, they are aware of this and they are fully okay with it based on the type of data that they're hiding. But it's just important to keep that in mind. The challenge here would be, how can we hide the child object because it satisfies the criteria? But if it has other children that don't satisfy the criteria, they need to be shown. So how can we do it? We had some options in the past, in the classic sort of legacy solution, where we dimmed the nodes. So we didn't show the content of it because it still has children that satisfies the criteria that needs to be shown, even though the node itself doesn't show it. But then we ended up with other challenges with the display. We had a lot of these dimmed objects and it didn't look good, and yeah, had some implications. But very valid question. If you use the display options, be aware that if the criteria is for hiding the objects are not met, you will just simply for the subchildren, then the parent object will also be hidden, so you may lose some data. So you have to make sure that the data that you have doesn't have these situations. So only the leaf objects, not parent objects, need to satisfy the criteria. Does that answer your question, Laura?
Yes, it does. Thank you.